Hey guys, so about a year ago I bought a 32 by 9 aspect ratio monitor, the one you see here, and just recently I upgraded to a new monitor and I actually kept the exact same screen size and aspect ratio. After a year of using this, I can't really imagine going back to anything else. So I figured I will just talk real briefly why I like this aspect ratio. To give you a perspective of what this aspect ratio does is that it's basically the standard widescreen times 2. So for example, in Unreal Engine, I would simply split my material, blueprints, things like that, do it on this side of the monitor, and use the content browser and the view and a small viewport. As you can see, I have a big viewport up there on my OLED, but I would do like a small viewport on my left side. And the benefit of it being exactly times 2 of a regular widescreen monitor, for example, the OLED. So if I did have to switch to a laptop one day, which would no doubt be a regular widescreen, at least the aspect ratio of one window would be exactly the same. And then I would just use some kind of Alt-Tab workflow to bring up my material, blueprint, whatever, to kind of be overlapping it. Whereas if I did 21 by 9 or something like that, then I would have to get used to different width. One other plus is for some games, it is really cool. It doesn't work on every game. I remember I did some INI file hacks to play Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, and Warrior Within on this thing. Well, actually on this monitor. It was so amazing. It's funny how just changing the aspect ratio of a game could make it feel so much more cinematic. It really felt like I was playing a remaster or something like that, even though it was just the same old game. That was kind of cool in the beginning, because I believe in both of those games you kind of start at an exterior. But then the deeper you get into this game, you kind of start playing in small corridors and things like that. And that's where I actually did feel a little bit dizzy. I feel like when you're playing in small interiors and you're still getting this extreme angle, that's when it doesn't work so well. But the reason why 32 by 9 monitors are getting more relevant for each day is because monitors are getting better with black levels. Maybe you do play a racing game one day and you feel like you're loving this aspect ratio, but then you're worried that the next day you're gonna play another game that won't be as suitable for it. Well, you could probably just simply play it at a different aspect ratio and just have the black bars on the side. And in the old days that would be terrible, because I hated black bars, because they weren't technically black. They were more like some kind of bluish, dark bluish color from the terrible black levels of the bad monitor. But more modern monitors are obviously getting a lot better with those black levels. It's cool for some games, and in the worst case, if it doesn't work out, you could just play with black bars. Now, if you compare it to something like 21.9 aspect ratio, I would actually have to agree that that is probably a much better consumer aspect ratio. It's just more suitable. For example, the anamorphic aspect ratio of a lot of movies is very similar to 21 by 9. So in some ways, that is a better aspect ratio. I will be the first to admit that. But as someone who, like myself, who feel like I'm more of a creator than a consumer, I actually like the idea that this one is wider than that, because that means that I kind of liked the idea that I could preview my image in that superior 21 by 9 aspect ratio, and then still have areas on the side where I can put the controls.